let us proceed further. Others will join. So in the previous class, we looked at that. Okay, this one, your Schlieren system and your Sadagraph system for the mainly for the flow visualization. So if you look at your Schlieren as well as both Sadagraph, okay, so it's going to capture the your density changes. You know about that, okay? Where the density changes is going to be there, your compressed flow, your natural or a forced convection process, okay? Okay, and also your combustion and flame measurements. Okay, combustion and flame. Because these areas, okay, your compressible flow, your natural convection, your combustion and flame, all those cases, your density change is going to be there. The density gradient is going to be there. That's what I told you in the last class. Okay, you take a candle flame, you can see that, okay, how your candle is going to play a role over here. Okay, candle images and all, you can capture it as a streaks and all. We will see the coming slides. So let us have a small comparison between your Sadagraph and Schlieren. Okay, you are going to have in the case of a Sadagraph, you are going to get only a mere shadows. But in the case of a Schlieren system, you are going to get a focused image. Yeah, focused image. And in the case of a Sadagraph, if you look at that, okay, how your image source, okay, here you can see that mere light ray displacement. But in the case of, okay, source your refraction angle, that is your epsilon naught, whatever the light refraction angle. And the contrast level here in the case of a Sadagraph is going to be limited to a second order accuracy, del square n by dou y square. But in the contrast level, it's going to be dou n by your dou y. Okay, so and there is no knife edge we are going to use, but here in the case of a Schlieren, we are going to use a knife edge here. This is a major difference between your Schlieren and Sadagraph. Okay? If you have any questions, please ask me. So this image, if you look at that, okay, these images, okay, if you look at that, we are going to capture with a Sadagraph. Okay, a helium jet is going to enter into the atmosphere. Helium jet is going to enter into the atmosphere. We use a Sadagraph. You know that what you mean by Sadagraph, okay? In the Sadagraph and all, we are going to have a single mirror, and whatever the light, okay, you are reflected from a single mirror, it's going to pass through the your test section or the region of interest, okay, and it's going to get reflected in a screen here. This is your mirror, and this is your source of light. Okay. So now here, if you look at that, okay, see that your quality of image, quality of information you are going to get. Right. Okay. But at the same time, you look at that, okay, this is a Sadagraph image. Okay, certain cases we are going to have a mixing of stream of helium and nitrogen. How it's going to be. Still the clarity is missing. But at the same time, you look at that, okay, yes, Schlieren image of helium jet entering into the air. See that, okay, whatever the case, if you look at that, okay, case of your Sadagraph, Schlieren, okay, we are going to have two mirrors, okay, and M1 mirror 1, mirror 2, and this is your S6. That's what your simple diagram of your this one. So now if you look at that, okay, here in the case of your mirror 1 and mirror 2, okay. So here what is happening is, okay, so if you look at that, the overall length is going to be, it should be something close to 2 meters. 2 meters. The length between the mirror to mirror, it should be 2 meters. And also another one more thing, if you look at that, your whatever the image form, okay, how we are going to the knife edge orientation. If you are going to see, keep the knife edge orientation, how it is going to be like that. So with respect to that, how your image form is. Another one more thing that we have to keep in mind that, okay, here orientation of your your location of your knife edge. So here we have seen that your knife edge is going to be placed here. Your knife edge is going to be placed here. So if you look at that location of the knife edge from the screen and the mirror, if you are going to vary, because you need to have a uniform darkening. See that if your knife edge is going to be too close to the second mirror, you are going to get a far away, you are going to get a darkness and white region like that. But at the same time, appropriate location, you are going to have a proper darkening. These and all is very, very important while setting up your systems. So if you proper imaging and all is control. So tomorrow you can set by yourself your this one. Okay. Any questions, sir? Any question? Any questions, sir?
No, sir.
So right now we have done like if you look at that, in terms of your like a flow visualization technique, okay. So whether it is intrusive or non-intrusive, we did it like in terms of qualitative techniques. Okay. So what are those? Your top visualization. Okay. And your surface flow visualization. So surface flow visualization with the help of oil coating, okay, or otherwise through the chemical coating, and your smoke flow visualization. And we anything else we missed here, sir? Anything else we missed here? Okay. Next is your shadowgraph technique, and your Schlieren technique. These are very common in the case of your compressive flow system, and your convection process. I mentioned earlier your combustion. Just you take a mirror, sir, and you create your agarbatti, a candle light. Okay, you try to capture that. Okay, your images there itself you can see a difference. Or otherwise, just you pay for some 600 or 700, you can get a very good mirror. Okay, So you can use it, you can capture your simple pseudograph of that, like whatever the way you are seeing it here. Okay, something like that you can capture, at least partially. Will be you are going to understand very easily. Surely I show you, okay, during your Pupperson lab, okay, course. Anyway, I am going to get a Sleren mirror, both two mirrors, okay. I'll set it up and show you that, okay. Even if you couldn't visit the campus, okay, I'll go for a like a online this one. I will capture with your WhatsApp call or something, okay, video call. I'll show you that how we are setting it up, how the images and all. I can show you. Thanks. So these are the flow visualization we looked at that. Next we will go ahead for, okay, your bit of quantitative. Okay. So we will go for your particle image velocimetry. And next is your laser induced fluorescence. Laser induced fluorescence. Even there itself, okay, we have a planar laser induced, okay, planar laser induced flip, okay. So, and also we will be looking at that once more your pressure sensitive paints, okay, how we are going to do that. Already we looked at that how we are measuring the pressure sensitive paints and all. Mach gender interferometer. So these things we are going to look at that in the your quantitative measurements. Okay. So if you look at all those cases, okay, your quantitative measurements, okay, quantitative measurements. If you look at that, the particle image velocimetry. So thing is that what are we going to do is, okay, we are going to take a certain flow field, okay, for example your flow over an aerofoil, okay. So we are going to illuminate the field with the help of a laser seed or laser beam, because you might have seen that your point laser in your whatever the your socks and all, okay, we'll be having you might have played with a laser light, okay, a single light laser. Same way, your 200 millijoule or 220 millijoule laser, okay, little bit of high intensity laser, high energy lasers, beams, okay, with the help of an optics, okay, we can convert it as a beam can be converted as a laser beam, millijoule laser, okay, laser beam, okay, converted as a with the help of optical system. We are going to make it as a seeds, laser seeds. So that laser seed, it's going to illuminate the particular flow field, particular location of the field. So which one is going to illuminate? I'm going to send a CD particle into the flow. What will happen? Okay, if it is a test section, within the test section, if I am going to keep a aerofoil, and if it is a air flow stream or a water flow stream, accordingly we have to choose your CD particle. Sometimes we plan for a smoke or some other bubbles, okay, those things will play. So the CD particle size will be less than 5 micron or low, less than that. Whatever your CD particle you are going to choose over there. Okay. So what will happen? That should not CD particle should not disturb the original your nature of the flow. It should not. So you have to choose a CD particle that should not disturb your nature of the flow. For example, if we are going to use a bubble and all, what will happen? They are buoyant in nature, so automatically instead of behaving according to the flow, it's also having its own buoyancy. It's going to move up. Or if the particle size are more, because of the gravity, it's going to come down. So that effect should not be there while using it as a seeding particle. Such a particle, if we are going to use any particle, okay, that should not have any effect on the buoyancy or any effect on the your gravity. Buoyancy and gravity effect should not be there. So accordingly, you have to choose a particle, you have to flood it. So already you are going to illuminate the field with a laser light. So what we are going to do is, okay, your double exposure camera, okay, CCD camera, okay. So using that and all, what we can do is, okay, we are going to get a 2 frames continuously, or okay, between frames, okay, we can dictate the time depending on, because of PIV and all, we can use it from a incompressible flow to supersonic flows. Incompressible to supersonic flows and all, you can use your PIV. So in that case, okay, you need to optimize your time delay between the two exposures. Then only we can have a correlation. We will see that how we are going to do that. Okay. So we are, for example, a particle here after the second exposure, if it is here, okay. We know that, okay, your delta L time, that is distance between that, and also how much time it's going to take from moving from here to here. We are going to get that here, okay, here it is t plus delta t, here it's t, so you can get your velocity and also get the t. Even we are going to see that, okay, 2D planar laser and all, you are going to get the u and v component, both the x and y component of that. So in the particle image velocimetry and also your particle tracking velocimetry also there. So here we are going to particle tracking velocimetry and all, we are going to track each and every particle to get the complete flow feature of that. Complete flow feature of that. Okay. Any questions, sir? Any questions, sir? If you want, I can show you your images, okay, a video file to you. You can see that how it is. They are going to eliminate the flow field, okay. They are going to capture your motion of that. So particular region of interest, they are going to have a one-to-one correlation, okay, and they can get your velocity and all. This is a continuous flow field, okay. This is also one more case. Like in the case of in the IC engines, okay, your piston movement. This is one of the case your heart valve and all. The colors are going to show that okay, the magnitude of that one. If you have any question, please ask me. So this is a detailed discussion about your particle PIV systems. I took it from Iowa State University, the slides and all. So what are we going to do is, okay, we are going to choose the particle small enough. They are going to be in terms of your micron size. Okay. And what are we going to do? The flow velocity is going to be equivalent to your particle velocity. Using your velocity of the particle, okay, we are going to measure your particle velocity, and from that we are going to correlate this one. So assumption is the tracer particles are move with the same velocity as your local flow velocity. As I mentioned earlier, okay, a seed particle with a smaller tracer, okay. So it's going to be in terms of micron size. So we are going to capture because of correlation, image correlation. Okay, we having a already I told you, okay, with the help of a double exposure camera, 10 microsecond between 10 microsecond. Okay, like that you can vary the time delay. You can capture the two frame, and you can go for a one-to-one correlation between the two images, and you can find out the particles distance between them. Your delta L, we are going to find out that, and we know the time. From that, we are going to get your velocity. So even the one-to-one image correlation, what we are going to do is, okay, the software is going to process. Okay, it's going to provide a data how your this one. Even you can have your shadow regions and all. You can find it out. It's not this. These are our shadow regions, so we don't have to worry about that. It's basically whatever your one we are seeing here is your velocity profiles and all. So another thing is, okay, in the PIV setup, what are the things are required and all. So we need a particle tracer to track the fluid movement. And second thing is illumination system. Illumination system, it's going to be a laser plus optic system, because whatever the beam that is coming out of your laser, we need to convert it as a seed. Okay, for that we need that. And second thing is your camera to capture the images of your particle tracer. As I mentioned, okay, your double shutter camera. So you need to have a camera should have a provision to capture that, okay, 2 frames, consecutive frames with a known time interval. And there will be a synchronization between the your laser illumination and your camera acquisition. Sometimes they will go for because if they have a pulse laser, whenever you want your imaging, accordingly, okay, your camera and as well as your laser is going to be started. Means when the laser is going to be illuminated, okay, your camera is going to be that frame. If your laser is going on, your camera is going to capture. So you have to one-to-one synchronization. The synchronization unit should be there. And also another thing is, okay, here your image processing should be so high. Okay, the effect is going to be so high. So it's going to occupy more memory. You need to have a better computer for do the image processing and all. Normally PAV supplier, they used to provide the complete workstation, okay, along with that one. And okay, I mentioned about the tracer particles. Okay, so tracer particles should be neutrally buoyant, small enough to follow the flow perfectly. Okay, so what will happen if it is neutrally buoyant means that should not have any buoyancy effect, that should not move because of the buoyancy. Tracer particles should be big enough to scatter the illumination of light efficiently. Okay, so whatever the light that is hitting on that, that should effectively scatter the light. Okay, the scattering efficiency of the tracer particle also strongly depends on the ratio of refractive index of a particle to the your fluid, because there will be a contrast would be there, otherwise it can't be. Okay, the refractive index of water is considerably larger than of air, so the scattering particle in air is at least 1 order of magnitude more efficient than the particle of the same size in water. So we do not worry about that. Okay, so what are the your tracer particle for the PAV? Okay, for the liquids and all. Okay, in the liquids, if you want to do experiment, so they used to have a polymer particles. Basically the size is going to be 10 to 100 micrometer, the density is going to be 1.013 to 1.015. So while choosing the polymer particles, you have to be very careful, because sometimes what will happen, we might have seen that some of the your experiments and all, we used to buy a balls and all, if you put it in that, okay, they are going to enlarge, they are going to burst it out. Okay, so moment it should not react with water and it should not bulging up, that should not be there. And second one is, okay, we are going to use a silver covered hollow sphere beads. Okay, so that is the one we used to have as a your tracer particle in the case of water flow experiments. Sometimes what will happen in the case of microflow, we are going to put a fluorescent particles, because you have to choose the fluorescent particles wavelength as well as your laser light. Okay, that should match, then only it's going to illuminate it properly. They are talking about that now, they are talking about the quantum dots and all. Okay, that's going to be in the order of 2 to 10 nanometers. Okay, but in the case of a gaseous flow, they will be having a smoke. They used to smoke, droplets, mist and vapor, condensation, and sometimes they used to have a hollow silica particles, that's going to be 0.5 to 2 micron diameter. Okay, for the mainly they are using this one for the combustion applications, and also they will be using a nanoparticles for the combustion measurements, combustion products measurements. So these are the tracer particles. Please keep in mind that tracer particle, what are the tracer particles they are using. So basically the illumination system, as I mentioned earlier, normally we will be using a ND-arc lasers, okay, or argon ion laser in the PAV systems. So that's going to emit a monochromatic light with a high energy density. Okay, we can convert that as a laser sheet with the help of optics. Okay, so that is going to be done with the help of a set of cylindrical lens and mirrors. Okay, for varying the thickness of the your sheet. So this is a typical your this one. Okay. Yeah, so you can see that, okay, they are going to take the frames at a different times, and they are going to measure the they are going to see the particles location with respect to time, and they are going to establish a correlation image, one-to-one correlation image. From that they are going to get the velocity, see that how from the correlation after that, okay, from the image processing, how they are getting a image processing from the data and all. Two raw images. One is at a t is equal to t0, another after 4 milliseconds. This is another way of if it is a low particle density, how are they capturing it? This is a case with particle tracking velocimetry. They are going to track each and every particles, and they are going to get the your velocity distribution, velocity of the particles. Okay. From that same displacement process. If it is a high particle image density, they are going to capture your velocity profile. So basically, it's a correlation based PAV methods. So they are going to take the images at 2 different frames. From that, they are going to get the low field data. How they are doing a correlation coefficient and all, okay? You can study later, okay? So there is a comparison between two things: your particle track velocimetry and your correlation-based PAV. In the case of a particle tracking velocimetry, you are going to track individual particle, but it's going to be limited to low particle image density case. If it is a more amount of particles, we can't, but limited. So the spatial repetition of PTV is limited by the number of tracer particles because we are having a very limited your particle. But in the case of correlation based PAV, the tracking of group of particles are going to be there. So it's going to be we can use high particle densities, and even we can have the spatial resolution of PAV usually limited by the size of the interrogation window. Okay, because we are going to capture only a small region. From that, we are going to do the spatial resolution. So, and also the velocity vector is going to be in the regular grid points. Okay, we are going to choose a grid point, and from that type of the region, how much you are going to choose, that's going to matter over here. In the case of your PAV, correlated PAV, correlation based PAV. Even you can estimate the differential quantities and all, how it is going to be. You look at that curved surface, how your properties and all you can capture. Already you might have studied these things in your CFD course. Okay, forward difference, backward difference, central difference. Okay, least square methods and all, getting your OF. Okay, from that you can estimate the properties and all. Your vorticity distributions. So you are going to take your distribution. From that, you are going to extract your velocity field, pressure field, everything you can estimate from there. Okay. Okay, sir. Any questions, sir? Any questions?
Sir, you taught dou square n by dou y square and dou n by dou y in shadow graph and sclerine. What is that, sir?
See, basically your accuracy of that whatever the intensity is one, and also whatever the results, your density also you can take it, because your refractive index is going to be related to density. So
yes,
we can correlate as a density variation, like second order density, first order density.
Okay, so n is density basically.
Yeah, refractive index, but you can relate it with the Snell's law, you can relate it with the density.
Yes.
Sir, so we can write dou n by dou y as dou n by dou rho into dou rho by dou y.
Yeah,
Like
because initially, if you look at that straight away, that target, what are the images we are going to get? We are going to get it as an intensity. Even last class, I mentioned one of the relation I by I naught as some of the your this one. So you are going to get the intensity patterns. From the intensity pattern only, we are going to derive the your dou n by dou y or what is it? Yeah, dou n by dou y for a Schlieren, dou square n by, it's going to be a contrast level. So whatever the contrast level, okay, you can get it.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions, sir? Because in the case of your Schlieren, you are going to get a very sharp image. You can capture the okay, how sharp are your socks. You can capture your thickness of the sock very effectively, because it's going to be subjected to, even there is a deflection angle. But in the case of a shadowgraph, you are going to see the mere light displacement. But in addition to displacement, you are going to see the deflection of your light also effectively, because you are going to use a knife edge, and also you are going to use a double mirror. Anything else, sir?
Sir, can we use that image processing to process the Schlieren image also, sir?
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that, but the results are not so accurate. Like, you can take a Schlieren image, you can capture the density field, how the density field is going to vary and all. You can capture it to a certain extent, but it's not going to be so accurate. Like whatever the one you are getting it from the your PIV, okay, you can't get like that. See, in the case of a PIV, you are going to get a velocity field data, but already you have the your governing equations, okay, your momentum equation, energy equation, and your continuity equation. From that, you can derive the your density field, your pressure field, those data and all you can derive it. Yeah, any questions, sir? Further. And another thing is, for example, okay, you might have seen the water tap coming out of that, or otherwise we might have used showers and all. Okay, so even we will take a case of a shower. So that's what a similar kind of shower is going to be there in the case of your engine, like your fuel automation. Already we mentioned about the aerospace purpose. Suppose, okay, the automation, okay, we have to break up the particle into smaller size, then only within the available resistance time your fuel is going to burn completely. Okay, so now we want to see that, okay, what is the size of the particle, how the particle is going to velocity, those things and all. Okay, certain extent you can measure it with the help of a system called flip system, planar laser induced process. What I do is, okay, depending on the wavelength of your whatever the laser you are going to use for generating a seed, I am going to take a dye, rhodamine, methyl orange, or any other dye I am going to take. I am going to add a very, very smaller amount to the spray fluid. For example, if I am going to use the water as a spray fluid, I am going to use a very, very smaller amount. That should not alter the surface tension or viscosity of the whatever the spray fluid you are going to use over there. So you have to choose accordingly, very, very smaller quantity. Now, if you allow it to spray, okay, what will happen if you are going to pass the laser seed through that? What you can do is, okay, you can capture the, okay, with the help of a double shutter camera, you can capture the your velocity of that, your field, even your drop size of that. Even sometimes, if you look at that, even more accurate and all, now the PDPA system has come. That's also you can capture the your effectively your spray velocity much more aggressive. Even normally we see that patternation. certain regime, okay, from the face of the injector. I can show you maybe. Okay, in the face of the injector, okay, you are in this, assume that this is my face of the injector. So spray is going to come out. It's going to be a conical spray is going to come. Okay. So certain location we are going to measure the distribution of your fuel spray particle. Certain distance we are going to measure the your fuel particle distribution. What we call that as a patternation. Patternation means okay, how much amount of mass distribution from the face of the injector to this one. So we are going to measure in terms of, for example, the diameter of the your RE5 used for generating a spray. So this much amount of D, we are going to measure your mass distribution. That and all, we earlier days we used to have a small cells and all we used to collect. Okay, particular location we place and we collect that and we will say that. Now the optical patternation has come. Okay, they are going to put a laser sheet on a particular location. Okay, they are seeing that how much amount of your mass is transforming through that. Okay, they are doing even if it is a spray is coming from the top, okay, they are putting a laser sheet like that. Sheet is going to be like that. Particular plane, how much particles are they are crossing. Okay, they are each and every time frame. Okay, they are connecting the particle size, and from that, okay, they are calculating the volume. Assume that the particles are going to be spherical, but in actual sense, it's not going to be your spherical. Okay, it's going to be an elongated ellipsoid particles. That kind of system, what we call it as a flip system, planar laser induced potentials. Even the combustion imaging also, you can capture that. Yeah, anyway, we are waiting for certain things from the institute. Okay, if things comes before end of your